Hello and a warm welcome to another episode of the Third Half Podcast, a podcast where we talk all things Sport.Fun, covering both football and American football. I'm Palmer and I'm joined by my co-host Laird. Laird, how are you doing this week?
I'm good. I was going to tell you a second ago to change the intro slightly because I actually want to start with NBA.
Okay. I was going to say, we've not been here we obviously missed the episode last week. We're back this week. So in those 2 weeks, we're now talking NBA, right? So that's going to be interesting. I know nothing, so please lead the dance. I think we all know why you want to bring it up, so crack on.
So to be honest, it's not really an NBA conversation, but I'm going to use NBA for now as the way we get into it. So I'm from New York. I'm a New York Knicks fan. They had a huge win last night. They were down 25 points going into late in the game. ESPN does these like win probability charts during the game. And with 7.5 minutes left, there was a 99.9% chance that the Knicks were going to lose. And they came back and won. And I was thinking to myself how wild it would have been to track that game on Sport.Fun. Like if I had shares of players in the game and all of this. And I was realizing that a lot of the fun, and I hate having to constantly use the word fun, but like it is what it is. A lot of the fun of Sport.Fun is how much it enhances the experience of watching live games and particularly with a sport like NBA where actions are happening all the time. Like obviously in football, we get points for passes and all that, but like you're not tracking each individual, like you don't see the movements quite as much. And it made me realize when they get NBA, and somebody started spreading like an NBA rumor recently that they were going to launch it soon. And people were like, oh, it's too early. And like, who knows what they're going to do. The NBA draft is in June. Launching a game before that seems weird because then you're like immediately trying to add guys, but whatever. But it started making me think more around the platform itself, that we all really enjoy this platform. We have fun. And I was kind of curious what you thought was like, maybe not the most fun, but like, what do you think makes Sport.Fun fun?
Fun. Make Sport.Fun fun again. I think, this is the question that I've spoken to so many people about. Some people enjoy just buying and holding the players. Some people like the active trading, the buying and selling before kickoff. Some people have that rush of going up and down, whatever it might be. Some people enjoy buying fringe players and watching them pay off. We had the AMA the other day with Adam, and Adam was saying, he wants to be the only one that holds Rodon when he gets that eventual, it's never going to happen, but that eventual number one spot. And then obviously we've got the new age of, we had the draft game for the NFL. We've now got picks. We're kind of being touted about different things for the World Cup. So there's so many different avenues in which people go, this is why I find it fun. And I think the beauty of it is as well, you don't have to do every single aspect. Yes, if you don't play picks, you might be leaving tournament points on the table, but that's your decision. Nobody's forcing you to do it. If you don't do it, it's not like detrimental massively. It just you lose out on an extra boost. That's it. So in terms of that enjoyment about watching it, I had it the other tournament with Declan Rice. Declan Rice was my last player in picks. He was my captain. I was like, pass it again, win a foul. I was like, shit, I need him to get a goal or assist. Come on. Like, even though in the back of my mind, I'm like, no, Arsenal, drop points, lose. Like, don't win the game. I was so invested, being like, right, this is what I want to be. And you can even strip it back to looking at like lineups and who's going to be kind of starting and things like that. So that's, I think, for me, probably, I like the aspect of the community more than anything, and that bouncing energy between all the different things and the conversations and the picks and the games and the full time and the scores and the active game. Like when it was the international break, I was bored shitless. Didn't really have any interest in coming on the game. I'm not somebody that's going to be like, let me keep trying to trade in and out and find edges. So personally, if there was another sport, I think that would benefit my enjoyment. Yes, vast majority of the NBA is going to be when I'm asleep. It is what it is. But it's same with the NFL, where there are going to be some games where I can be watching, can be active, can be joining in. So, yeah, I think it will be difficult to get a new game in, but I think it only kind of enhances the actual game for everybody once it's implemented.
Do you get concerned? Because like there was a conversation in the strategy Discord.
Yeah.
That adding NBA inevitably just takes away from football and or NFL. And it seemed like there were some pretty passionate opinions of like they shouldn't add it anytime soon because of the possibility that it takes away from the others. Now, I think adding it now makes no sense anyway. Like I think adding it before the upcoming season, like the next season, makes sense, which is September, October. But do you have a concern that it takes away from the others, from the existing sports?
Yes and no. So I think people believe that the drop off in football was because NFL came in. I think what people forget is that the pump in football was because NFL was coming in. So you had users that were only interested in the NFL buying FDF so that they could start getting packs. You had people buying more FDF and increasing their position so that they could get more packs for NFL. Now, did some people get those packs, sell and exit the game? Possibly. I think the dev teams have understood that and they've said they don't want to do pack drops anymore because of that. They don't want it to be like first to sell. You know, if you're buying, you're getting dumped on. So the system of implementing a game, I think, needs changing. I think if they were to implement NBA the same way they did NFL, I think it would be negative. But I believe we've kind of, we had the carrot on the stick during football to hold was you were going to get fun tokens and that was going to, hold through the drop. You're going to get this fun token. So that was the carrot on the stick. We then had the carrot on the stick about don't sell your position to get NFL. We've got all these different things. We've now got the carrot on the stick of World Cup's going to be big. You don't want to hold. NFL, the carrot on the stick is TP's still locked up. You need packs. There's going to be a new season pump. People are believing, quote unquote, whether it happens or not. I'm obviously not a fucking maths expert. But I think once the World Cup's come and gone, once we're underway with the NFL season, not to say that the game isn't incentive enough, but what's the new carrot on the stick that will get people like, fuck yeah, I want to be in on this. I want to be early. I want to be a big player. And I think the only, fire alarm. Don't know if you could hear that. I think the only reasonable thing to do would be to add on a new sport, be that NBA or whatever. I think NBA is the most likely. But yeah, I believe it will be beneficial. And I think if people look at it as a whole, I think they'll realize that NFL was actually beneficial for the long run. But yeah, it's a difficult one.
I think you made a really good point that there were plenty of people who bought into football because of NFL, which sounds weird as somebody who lives here where football is NFL. But but there were, like, I know people who got into football for that, like, possibility that this is going to help me when NFL launches. And we know that there are plenty of people who joined for NFL, like they waited and they joined NFL. And I think the crossover between NFL and NBA is much higher than football and NFL. So I think it wouldn't be surprising if people took money out of NFL and put it into NBA. And there's this concern that happens along with the time that we have our, like, all of the offseason TP that starts to hit. I actually just looked 64% complete of the offseason, or 14 to 22. Let's go. But I think that there will be people who join for NBA that had no interest in NFL or football. And there could be people who joined football and have no interest in NFL, but will play NBA. And so it's kind of like things like that, that anytime there's going to be a new sport added, people are going to take from what they have on the platform and move it over there. Like you can get upset about it, but like it's going to happen every time they add a sport. And we know that they want to add tons of sports. And so you just have to hope that, people will move money over and then be like, I actually still really love this. And they put more money in or whatever. But worrying that your existing bags are going to go down when they add more sports. It's like, I hate, like, this sounds really harsh about it, but like, you just have to deal with it. Like, it's going to happen. And so like saying they shouldn't add new sports because it's going to take away from my bags, like you're going to lose that bag.
But yeah, no, I definitely agree with that obviously money will flow through. I think people's struggles to understand or to get on board is like, liquidity is thin. They don't want to be stretched even more thin. But at the same time, I think one of the conversations we were having that you're probably referring to over the past week was NFL's almost had this ability to become like a beta season, like a live beta test. They've understood what does work, what doesn't work. They've been able to implement for the first time the injury cover. We've gone through a first testing of an off season and how to kind of, put that together. So there's so many different benefits that we've got from running the NFL season this season instead of waiting for the full start. But then it also now gives a good foundation to build upon to say we have got like 4 million market cap, I think it is somewhere around there, maybe more. I don't even know off the top of my head. For the NFL, we have got this many users. We have got the game that works. So when you're onboarding people, you can now start to onboard them onto a new platform. That grows, that brings that. You're going to get users that go, yeah, I also love NBA. And I think that's going to happen again. Yes, you'll spread liquidity thin, but you're, in theory, expanding the cast of your net so that you can then capture more users who might do that. I think the only thing that I'm almost like, NBA might not be that great, is that we've got, again, the off season. There's no real season crossover between, American football and basketball. Kind of, they all have the same dead periods, which is why other people are saying, maybe a tennis or, a summer sport that will go throughout the off season. What do you kind of think about that, where if they were to add NBA, we've literally then just got the same start period between September, October for all sports. You've got the same kind of dead periods for all sports. Like, do you see that being an issue?
No, I think the goal is to be the destination for people who want to enjoy these sports more than they do right now, whether it's with trading, with the fantasy aspect of it, with picks, with whatever. And I think that there's this kind of expectation that if you're on the platform, like, you're going to have to do everything. And so it's like, what am I going to do when there's no NFL? And it's like, sometimes you just, like, people who play fantasy NFL for 30 years, like, they take the off season. Like, it's a regular part of the schedule. Like, that the season ends with the Super Bowl at the beginning of February. You have the combine in April, you have the draft in May or whenever they are, and then training camp starts in July. Like, it's just a regular schedule, and you just know it. And I think the game will just naturally ebb and flow. Will prices go down in the off season? Yeah. But like, that's when you buy. And that was one of the things that had been a conversation with a group that I'm in a while, that we understood the desire to have I don't even want to call it an exciting off season, but to do something so that everybody didn't just sell and get out. And but ultimately, the off season should provide the low prices that allow people who think that who trust that it's going to be better closer to the season. Like, the off season buy incentive is that prices are so much lower than they will be during the season. And so, I understand that they don't want these people and then essentially like front loading the sells. Like if you're going to sell after week 17, like, oh, I'll sell it after week 15 because I'm going to get my, I'll be higher than you, as if it matters. And so I think adding NBA, adding golf, tennis, Formula One, like they all have their off seasons. Some they don't all align. Some are shorter than others, but I think that you can, when you think of the number of sports that people enjoy, needing to play everything just doesn't, not that it doesn't matter, but like you don't have to. There are going to be people there are people on the platform right now who are fully into NFL and have no interest in football, like zero. Gary's a great example. Not only does Gary have no interest in football, he thinks they basically should just get rid of it. And they're like, just go full NFL. And there are other people who think that way. And there are going to be people when they launch NBA that are like, all I like is NBA. And I'll put all of my money in NBA and I don't care what happens with the other one. So they see prices falling in football and they're just like, it means nothing to them. And so that, but I believe Sport.Fun wants to be the place for every sport. Like they've talked about League of Legends and so I think we need to stop looking at them as like, we need to have this sport because it fills the gap for this other one. Like if they launch MLB, are you buying MLB shares because they play in the summer?
No.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Like,
because I wouldn't have a clue who to even buy.
Yeah. And even if, and there will be people who like get into it because it's there.
Of course. Yeah.
But it's not the point. And so I think, it feels a little counter because I think every sport should be looked at individually, but I'm guessing that the guys at Sport.Fun think of it as a whole platform. And so if money goes, if NFL drops by 10%, but football goes up by the equivalent amount, it means nothing to them because they're like, it's the same amount. I mean, obviously they want more money to go up, but, and I think, obviously if you are somebody who is in one, if you're just into football and you're like concerned that money is going to leave to go in NBA, like I said, like it's going to happen. But at some point there's going to be like, they'll stop adding sports. I don't know what the number is. Like we have 2 right now. They could do NBA. I mean, we've talked about this golf, Formula One. They want to do some kind of esports, whether it's League of Legends or plenty of others. Hockey, they could do. Did I say tennis? I don't know if I said tennis.
Yeah.
But like, maybe you get to 10 total, which actually seems like a lot. Cricket.
Can I ask as well quickly? So obviously talking about the expansion of sports, do you think that they could/will expand within the sport? So we've got the top 5 leagues in football. We've not got MLS, we've not got Championship, we've not got the Scottish Prem, we've not got the Eredivisie. Do you think that we should see expansions within the sport? Now, obviously for the NFL, that is its own thing, whether they went over to whatever Canada's league's called or whatever, they could potentially expand that way. But do you think that we see expansions within the actual sport? Or do you think that they've kind of not finalized it, but as in they've fixed their leagues, they're done for football? Yes, players will change, but those 5 leagues will be the only 5 leagues and then the expansions elsewhere.
So I think that question is different for football than every other sport.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe basketball, because like you have the NBA and then you have like the Euro League and all of that. But I think genuinely or generally they probably stop at NBA. And for hockey, they probably stop at NHL. Like, is there interest in the other leagues? Of course. But I don't think that there's enough like fantasy interest and share interest for a mass audience. For football is different because, like you said, top leagues in the US with like MLS and Eredivisie and all these, I want to believe that scouting takes care of those, that you don't need to have a whole game with like tons of Eredivisie players
because
they're in scouting. whatever scouting means at this point. If it ever happens, like, talk about like the carrots of all carrots, like scouting is that one.
Yeah.
So I
That's
yeah, no,
a
I think,
golden carrot at this point.
yeah, golden carrot's a great one. But so, yeah, I think like NFL, NBA, NHL, maybe if they do Major League Baseball, I guess Formula One. But again, Formula One, like you can do scouting for Formula Two
Two,
and what,
three,
I don't know what
yeah.
the others are. So,
Well, 2, 3, 4.
yeah,
Just-
exactly. So I think scouting probably handles that, but
Mm,
so yeah, I think scouting handles it.
okay.
Should handle.
Flip side, what about women's sports? Do you think that we ever go into the, WNBA, the WSL, obviously, women's like Barcelona, PSG, like there's some big, big names. We've seen it in the likes of FIFA, Football Manager. So yes, for a football side of it, I don't know if there is a women's American football league. But yeah, I mean, I know there's ones in bikinis, but I don't know.
I don't think that's what they're going for. So I think it's crazy to not do them, to be honest. Like, I think they absolutely should do them. When? Like, I don't know. Like, you don't do the WNBA before the NBA. You don't do. Oh, you can add the WSL. Stuff. Yeah, yeah. So I'll say this, from the fantasy sports perspective. So this happened with daily fantasy sports a couple years ago for the Women's World Cup that DraftKings and FanDuel did. Like, they just mirrored their product and did Women's World Cup.
Yeah,
they might have done one for the Euros too, and there was tons of interest in it. Now, did people like continue to care after the World Cup? No, but that happens a ton here. Like, that's going to happen here in the U.S. that people are going to go absolutely fucking crazy for, and I'll say it because it's here. They're going to go crazy for soccer this summer, and then like everything will return and nobody will care.
Yeah,
and not nobody, but like it happens. But I think like women's football, WNBA, like there's daily fantasy WNBA right now. Like, there are absolutely people who play it. And so if NBA is a success, football feels like it's a success. Now, is it where they all want it to be? Not yet. But I think it's proven to be it can be a successful product, and adding more for us to do in terms of like researching and getting into leagues, I think is easy. And I think there are going to be people who are like, oh, surely the leagues would want them to do it. And so maybe they can partner with the leagues, and like the leagues don't care. Just to tell you that. But like, I think they absolutely should do it. And there will be people who like really get into women's football because of it. Like, no doubt. Tons? No, but there will be some.
I suppose when you say that tons, it's like we're looking at percentages. So of all the football fans across the world, you've then got only a certain percentage of those play fantasy sports. Now, a certain percentage of those play paid fantasy sports, where paid leagues, whatever it might be. And then a certain percentage of those are interested in kind of a crypto trading aspect. And then a certain percentage of those are interested in Sport.Fun. So we're like, out of, when people go, oh, there's millions or billions of, football fans across the world, or cricket fans across the world. It's like, okay, well, how many of those have access to, disposable income and interest and time and energy to even be willing enough to come and join it? So my mind kind of says, well, if you are trying to get kind of 1% of the 1%ers, the more sports you've got, the larger your user base gets to. And again, that foundation all of a sudden builds where you might have 10 different game modes with 1,000 users each. All of a sudden you're thinking, well, yes, that's quite a big user base for a game, as opposed to having two games with 2,000 users each. Because obviously, like we said before, some people play NFL and football, but NBA comes along and they're going, see you later, I'm going 100% over here. So, that as it expands, yes, it kind of decreases, but it builds on top of that. So I think there's so much positivity to it when looking forward to these things. I think we've already had a lot of learning curves about how and when it happens. They now know to never deploy a game mid-season. It crashed and burned with NFL. I don't think anybody can look at that and say, yeah, the timeline was good. I personally have said it before. I think they were too late. I don't think it was a case they were too early. I think they were too late to deploy it. They should have done it, weeks and weeks. We had the kind of periods where I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks where they had the game set up and it was in the background. They were just testing it internally. Things take time. Absolutely understand that. But again, like I say, I think they were just too late with deploying it and rolling it out. So they know not to do that. They know not to do pack drops because people will just open the pack and hit sell instantly. So I think we're in a really good place where they have a lot of knowledge on how they should go about doing it going forwards. So yeah, I'm in a positive mind frame with it all. I just want to kind of turn the talking point away from a very integral part of the game that isn't a sport, and that's the fun token. So over the past couple of weeks, like I say, we missed the episode last week, but over the last 30 days, we've got over 80% growth on the token. Ridiculous. I think the market cap is around $11 million worth of market cap for the token in itself. At one point, it had a higher market cap than football, so it was the biggest thing. And when we talk about liquidity getting spread thin, people selling NFL, people selling football to go into a new sport, I think the fun token is almost something that's there that people might be removing profit off, but it's almost separate to the game in itself. It's a backing of the company and of the growth. And when we talk about having 10 sports with 1,000 users each and a 10,000 core user base season round, I feel like the fun token will reflect on that when people go, that's a good product. I want to kind of, support and back that. Has the fun token for you been something that you've paid attention to over the past weeks and months? And also, what do you think the growth of the game and especially big events like the World Cup will do for the fun token without spreading financial opinions, thoughts, advice, and telling people to go buy it or whatever?
Never financial advice. So I was looking at this the other day because somebody commented that their fun token was worth more than their NFL and football ports combined. And I was like, that's crazy. Now I've never had the biggest NFL port. Like I threw in, again, NFL hasn't been my sport. Sport.Fun made me care about NFL more than I had in years, but not enough to just like plow into it. But looking at the three, I'm almost exactly 50% in football and then 37% in fun token. And I think like not that this doesn't apply to new people, but like a lot of the fun token I got was because I was early on the platform. I didn't sell in the huge run up, and it's just become something that I get every tournament or every week. I get a little more fun token, and it's I don't even know how to describe. I don't know how to describe it, to be honest, because it's not something I pay attention to, but like I get more of it every week. And when it had that run up last week, or would you say 80% in the last month?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's crazy. I don't. Yeah, it's probably not probably. It's without a doubt like the biggest benefit of the platform, and yet it's completely hidden in terms of like value. Like I really don't know how to describe this, but like it was during this like recent run up, and I was just like, oh, what is this worth? Like I didn't even, you go on your page on Sport.Fun to claim your weekly rewards, and it'll tell you what it's worth, and yet I still just like never really looked. I know like how many what is it, tokens that I have? It's not shares, but like I know how many I have, and I just like never done the math, even though the math is like, I'm looking right now, the math is done for me. And I just like didn't put that into context. And all of a sudden I was just like, holy
Wow.
shit, this thing is like, that's worth a lot of money for compared to like what I have here, compared to what I put into it's like, I have more fun token than what I put into the platform. Like forgetting about what my football and NFL ports are worth. Like, and I was just like, holy shit. Like I can't look at that number and put it into context without swearing.
I mean, like I say, you're absolutely not wrong. I think it's one of those which is so difficult because people look at their market cap, you look at their ports, you go football, NFL, right? What's the big number saying? You don't go into your profile and look at that number and see what it's doing. And I doubt people are kind of checking whether it's Coinbase or whatever it might be, Kraken, that you've got your token through to see how much you own or earn, or what the price is of it tracking, price tracking what it's doing. So it's normally only when people are going, holy shit, has anybody seen the fun token? And people then look and go, oh my God, have you seen the fun token? And that kind of snowball effect happens. And that's where we were last week. The conversations were just bubbling over and over and over. And this is through people getting interest for, be that the World Cup. People might be looking for kind of different things that they can back and trade in. They might not want to have to go and set up an account and send over the gold and then buy a player and trade a player and buy a contract. So they go, well, I can just take a blanket cut of the whole platform. Certain players might go up or down, but the fun token, in theory, will keep kind of fairly consistent. Obviously, some people can heavily swing that. So again, we've already got 3 layers. We've just spoken for half an hour about how the game's split into two places, but we, everybody forgets of this massive aspect that gives fee rebates. You accumulate it if it's in your wallet, you get extra TP. Like there's all these different benefits. And yeah, just I suppose it almost goes on. It's that unsung hero of the game in terms of the token. I'm not somebody that knows much about tokenomics at all. I'm never going to sit and pretend to know what the fuck I'm looking at. But I've had many, many conversations with people that do, and that like to draw a little squiggly graph and say, oh, because it went up, down, left, right, it now means it's going to go diagonal. And I'm like, sure. But, kind of hearing and speaking to people and saying, well, they've seen many token launches, and very rarely, if ever, are they kind of in this, for a project like this, are they ever in the health and the place that they're in? I'm fairly certain the token is now, or it was, if not already, it back in line with what it launched at. So, it kind of got launched, sold heavy, came down, I think like 40, 50%, sank around a little bit, maybe came down another 10, 15%, bounced up, and over the past month, it's kind of got back on track. So in theory, anybody who bought anything at the peak fuel time and has held it, well, the accumulation is going to have meant that you've got a larger holding. You'll have got fee rebates, which might have been 2 gold, it might have been 50 gold, who knows? But you've also got extra TP, which, churns in. So just by holding it for that period of time, it's now got back to where it was, if not more. And I think this is then when people are turning around, and myself at that point, where I was going, holy shit, my fun token is worth more than my whole port combined. And I was sat there going, I should probably sell some of this fun token. And I looked at the clock and thought, oh, I've got to get to the chiropractors. I'll do it when I get back. Went to my chiropractor appointment, came back, looked at the price, went, oh, that's quite nice. It's still holding. Never sold. Obviously, it's come down since. But I'm like, I don't want to sell. I want to get to that top tier. I want to kind of have it for the benefit of the game. That price will fluctuate, much like my port. But yeah, so I think it's brilliant that we've got these extra layers that people forget about.
Yeah. And it's funny you talked about the thinking of selling and then not. And so I thought about this recently. It was like, should I just buy some more fun token? Not even as a benefit in the game, because I'm on level 5 and I'm just so far away from level 6, and it's like not financially feasible for me to buy myself to level 6 right now.
Yeah.
But I was like, should I just buy some fun token with thinking it's going to be worth more in the future? Like literally just buying any sort of token. I don't buy tokens. Like this isn't something I do. And so it's like, if I did it, it would literally be the first, is that the first token I bought? I mean, outside of ETH, and I only bought that to light it on fire on So Rare anyway. But it was like, oh yeah, maybe I can do this. And I had this thought on the same day that it ran up, and I was like asking around, I was like, does anybody know why it's going up? And everyone's like, no, it's somebody must be buying. And it's like, okay, like that's why things go up. Like I know that
Obviously.
that's why they go up. Yeah. And then maybe it was in the same Discord, like somebody shared a chart and they're like looking at this and here are the arrows and like, this is why it's going up. And I was like, this means nothing to me. And then of course it goes down and I was like, well, why did it go, why is it going down now? It's like, well, people are selling. I'm like, okay, great. Yeah. Thanks. So it made me realize that I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing when it comes to trading tokens. And so thinking I'm coming into this as any sort of expert as opposed to a degen is like just obviously wrong. But 2, nobody knows. Like there's nobody out here that's like, it's going up because like if you said it's going up because this one wallet bought a ton, which is what we see with share prices on SDF. Like, oh, why is this player up? Somebody bought $300. Okay, great. Like case closed. And the only reason for me to think that Sport.Fun goes up is because more people want to buy the token. And it's like, well, do they want to buy it because it hit a certain price point and then every time it hits that, oh, that's what it was. So it was like the last time it hit this price point, I'm like, this token's been around for 3 months. Like the last time, like, what are we talking about here? But it was a weird feeling to think of buying this token, of which I have no idea what it really represents.
Literally.
But knowing that I like the platform so much that if the platform succeeds, the token has to succeed. And then to me, it was like, maybe it's literally as simple as that. That if the platform continues to be successful or goes on to this trajectory of success, the token goes up. And if it's that simple, then maybe I should just buy it.
Can I ask, what's your thoughts, or maybe you've even asked this question yourself, but when people go, what's the utility of the fun token? What's it do? I want more utility. I want it to give me more. What do you have you asked that question, or what do you think when you see the question asked?
The easy answer is like, yeah, fee rebates and bonus points in the game, like bonus tournament points and stuff. What's funny is that I benefit from those, from the fun tokens that I hold. Like I know that I'm getting more each month or each tournament, but there was no thought to buy the token to get more benefits, if that makes sense. Meaning, like I said, I'm on level 5, getting to level 6. It's so high. And so incrementally buying to get there, like, doesn't benefit me at all other than just owning the token. And so it's almost like I was considering buying the token with no expectation of utility, just number go up. And I'll continue that because, again, it will take me years to get to level 6 if they continue to pay, to have fun rewards like they do right now. I mean, maybe one day I decide to buy it, but I don't. So I think the easy answer is the utility is in the game. It's fee rebates and bonus tournament points that allow you to get more shares in a pack and all that stuff. But if I am not buying the token for that reason now, because it doesn't, the next level of benefits is just too far for me.
Yeah. No, I agree. I loaded up one of my wallets the other day and I think I had like $38 sat in there. I was like, oh, didn't realize I had that. And I went to buy the token and I don't know why I think I just forgot to do it. I got distracted. Probably had a pop-up that somebody sent me an Instagram reel and, I was like, oh, let's go watch this. So I never actually kind of crossed that threshold. But again, I didn't buy it for the kind of thinking I want the extra utility. I'm in the same boat where I'm tier 4. Getting to tier 6 is just, I don't think it will happen. I don't know whether it's even worth it for my port size anyway. So I've got all these different kind of levels to it. Now, one thing I see in the reply to when people say about the utility is they go, well, what utility do you get when you buy shares of Apple, of Google, of Tesla? It's not like you get anything sent back on that. You're just buying it for number go up, as to coin your phrase that you said a minute ago. You're buying it so that you go, well, I think that the World Cup's going to create it. I think there's going to be new game modes. I think there's going to be this. I believe in Adam, in the team, in the concept, in the product, whatever it may be. That's the kind of reason. Now, I don't believe there's many places at all that kind of give token utility where, maybe in a gaming setting, sure. But normally when you see these tokens and, the amount of things that I've seen, like NFT products set off their own token, and there's no utility. It's just like not to, is it a cash grab? Sometimes it feels like that. Whereas I genuinely believe that this isn't a cash grab. I genuinely believe that they're kind of like, this could be something that does add into the background. Now, I've seen people saying, they should get voter rights and ability to join in or all this stuff. And it's like, for me, if we never got anything other than the rebates to TP and the, accumulation of fun, personally, I'd be absolutely happy and fine with that. Because I almost don't own it because of that. Like that's the cherry on top of the cake. So I think it's always interesting to have the kind of conversations. I'm looking at right now a site that I'm building that I've been building for probably the past, it feels like 3 years and never actually got done. So, the past kind of 3-4 weeks, I've spent more time on this and tried doing it. And I've got a few visuals of the fun token now. And over the last couple of weeks, especially, I kind of drilled into it. So that's something I'm hoping to share for over the next couple of weeks before the World Cup that kind of answers some of these questions. Now, when you said, oh, why is it going up? Is it one user buying it? Is it 1,000 users buying it? What's happening? Is it people that are already in the game buying more? Is it new wallets? Kind of these are questions I'm trying to answer in terms of the data and on here. So, potentially we can come back next week and have another conversation, and me and you can try and blind leading the blind, understand a little bit more of the figures and the numbers. Because again, I think it's interesting to see. I think it's a big topic. I think it offers a lot of backing to the way in which people look at the ecosystem. There's probably some people that have never heard of Sport.Fun that get shown about the token and that it's going up in price. People go, okay, that must be credible. It must be, whatever. Maybe they'll get involved in just the token, stick around with the token. They'll then hear the utility like you spoke about. And then maybe that will be their reason to then buy into the game. So creates another avenue, creates another doorway. I think it's, it's good to have. So interesting to see.
Yeah. Have you thought of what happens if everything just skyrockets again?
In terms of what I do or what the game does?
What you will do.
I've got kind of things in mind in terms of, should my port get to this or should a player get to this? I've got, I will certainly sell. I think I've been very honest about the run up that we had in August. I joined the game like 7 days in. I sold up. I'd watched it go up. I kind of sold on the way down where there was 20% fees. I'd already lost about 50% from my all-time high. So yes, I got a very sizable, very life-changing sum of money really for the position I was in. And I think if it was to do that again, I'd be stupid not to. I think anybody would be stupid not to. Different people have different financial backings. Some people might go, fuck it, this is disposable. I will just hold it until the end of the earth. Don't care. I'm in a position where if my port was to 5x, my missus would never, look at me the same way again. If I said, I watched it 5x, 10x, and then we're now on, 0. So yeah, me personally, I'd sell. What about yourself?
Yeah, I don't. It was a conversation that started with PSU that was like, yeah, if the fun token goes to $10, like I'm long gone. And it was like, all right, well, what's the number? And I mean, we say this, it's at 6 cents, so $10 is like very far away from here. But I don't know, like because your life-changing money is different for everybody, like because
Of course,
all of our lives are different, and so, but you're right that we should all think of like what the number is that you're
100%.
just like, I should probably not hold all of this at this point. But I was just mostly thinking like heading into the NFL season, if like we 5x, like that's a lot for some people. And not that I'm thinking like, oh, we 5x and then everybody sells and gets out. Like I don't think that happens, but I don't know. I just think what if we're, and I mean, this is what we all think all the time. Like, what if we're just about to get to that point where it's like, oh, we were really early because look at these prices now. And it's like, what happens then?
I was looking a month ago, and I was like, oh, my people can find my wallet. I think I've posted it before, so I'll tell the figures. Don't give a shit. I put £3,000, which at the time basically $4,000, into the fun token. Bought it when it dropped. Instantly, fucking shat the bed. Lost like 60% value. Held it all. Grew back up and up and up. It was about $3,500, so $500 loss. And I was like, I could probably do with taking a grand or two out. I might sell up. Didn't, held on to it, thought, nah, it's not worth taking the loss and realizing the loss. Yes, maybe I should sell out of it, but I'll just hold, because I was thinking of selling, taking like 50% of it for myself, personal spending, whatever. Me and the missus are looking at summer holidays, so I thought, yeah, that will helpful. And I was going to put 50% back into football for the World Cup. Didn't do that. Watched it run up, and I think it got like 3.5 times. So it was about 3.5 grand. At one point, it was just over 8 grand. And that was when I was looking, saying, oh, maybe I should sell. And in my mind, I was going to say, oh, I should take $3,000, leave $5,000 in it, and, do as I do. Didn't sell. And it's now at like 5.5, 6. So $2,500 that I've lost because I didn't sell at that time. But I'm not sat here going, oh my God, that's the end of the world. I should be. Yeah. That's me being financially immature. I should be going, oh shit, I should have done that. But that wasn't a point where I was like, yes, I need to sell. Because I still believe that I think we go higher than what we did as we get close to the World Cup in 3 weeks' time. Do I sell with the World Cup? Maybe, if the price is right. That famous saying. What that price is, I'm not too sure. It's one of those things, I'll know it on the day. I'll look at it and go, you've got $15,000 in fun token. And I'll go, well, I've only got a 6 grand port, so this is stupid. And, I'll reshift and realign and put things in. The other thing is, we are at a 12.5 million market cap in football and a 3.5 million market cap in NFL. Should the football market cap get to 30 million during the World Cup and the NFL gets to 5 million, you bet your ass I'm selling football and fucking loading NFL. Like, so, when people talk about selling and, oh, you can't sell, you can't dump, it's a PvP at the end of the day. And you have to realize that if you don't, somebody else will. And that's with that. So like I say, everybody should have their number. Everybody should have their figure. And I think too many times we've seen over recent months, especially, people are overexposed. They don't sell when they think they should have done. The market cap comes down and they're then like shit in the bed, only playing the game because they want to get out, but it's too cheap to get out. And I don't know. That's just, nobody should be playing like that, I think. It's a difficult game. If it's too much, sell it when it's right.
Yeah.
And I think everybody should do that with confidence, really. I know many people like to hide they don't want their account known, they don't want this known, they don't want their transactions known, not looking at anybody in particular. You know, but for me, cards on the table and we'll go from there. So
it is the anonymity of crypto is funny because it the, you're completely anonymous in something that's completely transparent.
mm-hmm.
And so it just takes like one thing to link one person with a wallet, and then it's like you have everything because
Game over. Yeah.
And we kind of celebrate the transparency of blockchain and all that stuff until we're no longer anonymous, and we're like, oh, like I don't want everybody to know this. And maybe coming from So Rare, where it's like you could see everybody's card, like what things are generally what things are worth, and so you're like, oh shit, that guy's got like a lot of money. But yeah, it is kind of the fun token, at least is for all intents and purposes hidden because we don't, it's a separate wallet and all that stuff from the shares. But I don't know where I was going with that. Whatever. Do you think we're more likely to see? Well, let me rephrase. Do you think NFL overtakes football market cap wise?
Ooh, see, that's a really good question. I'd be interested to know, and maybe I need to go find this. I'd be interested to know the individual users that hold any shares across the sports, because football is what, 4.5 times market cap of NFL. I'd be interested to know whether there's actually 4.5 times the user base. I think I remember seeing that there was like 400 users in NFL during the off season. Whether that's grown, and I think that when we've seen picks, there's like 1,000. So it kind of, you'd think it's not. Now, the market cap for football, to my belief, is very much propped up on a handful of users, whales, whatever you want to call them, fucking gigantic whales in reality of the rest of the ecosystem. I don't believe that they will ever sell. However, they are very much propping the sport up based on their own wallet. They probably hold a 50% majority of the market. And that's just reality. I don't believe we'll get a certain user to match that user/users in football for the NFL. I just don't believe that it's got the space in to do so. That kind of user probably came through investor, whatever, had agreements in place with buying at a reasonable price. Anybody that did that in NFL now, I'm sorry, but you're going to get dumped the fuck on by everybody, even the true believers. They will dump on you if somebody came in and went, right, here's 50 grand on Bijan Robinson in one buy. You are going to get dumped on. The only way that NFL grows is by accumulation of users and numerous transactions per token. So when people talk about can NFL overtake FDF, I think there's some basic reality that we have to look at, that you need enough users to create the same as that one wallet. That's very difficult to do, because there's probably 3 or 4 wallets in football that hold the same market cap in football as the whole of NFL. So, do you know what I mean? So, yes, there might be only 2.5 times the users in football than NFL, but you've got to bridge that gap. Now, do I think come back in 3 years' time, NFL will be higher than football? Possibly. I think in terms of fantasy players, American football fans and Americans as a whole are more likely to spend money whilst playing fantasy sports. English people and Europeans, I say English people because of the English Premier League, Fantasy Premier League app, but English people and Europeans are used to playing for free in free-to-play leagues. They're not used to dropping money into something. So I think over time, NFL probably does slowly, and then overtake. Do I think it happens this upcoming season? We have to watch what happens over the World Cup, but I doubt it. Is my very long-winded answer. No.
But you think it could happen within 3 or 4 years?
I think as the game develops, grows, I think it happens. We go back to the starting conversation we had. Right, let's talk about what sports we get. Tennis, US Open. NBA, US. NHL, US. MLB, US. Like, all of those fans probably have an American football team they support. So even if they don't fully invest and they just go, I don't know, I'm a Detroit Lions fan, so I'm just going to throw $200 on Gibbs. Like, that's enough. You know, I'm an Eagles fan, so I'm going to buy Jalen Hurts. And they do nothing else. I think the massive users that we will get based in North America will outgrow football. And I think that spending will do it, because I believe we will get a mass American user base who are used to spending $100, $200, $500 a year on fantasy games. We don't get that in the UK, Europe, wherever.
So I think there's like a 25% chance that NFL is bigger than football by October.
Okay, so what's that, 6 months?
Yeah. Like, I think there's a chance.
Can I ask, do you think that, so football market cap is 12.5 million. Do you think that's because football comes, go on, you were going to go on to it.
Yeah, I think that they will both be double-digit million market cap, and NFL will be bigger. Like, I think I think there's a realistic shot that happens. Mm-hmm. And there's basically two things that go into that. One is, it really doesn't take much to move NFL right now. Like, the market cap, when the market caps are small, it doesn't take a lot to move them up. And so comparable money into football doesn't have the same impact as it does in NFL. So it's easier for NFL to catch up. The other is, we were talking about adding all these other sports. Fantasy NFL is bigger than every other fantasy sport combined, in terms of 100%. The number of people who play, the amount of money that gets put into it. Like, that's why, and I've been saying this for a while now, NFL has to be a success at Sport.Fun for the platform to be successful, because it is the biggest, money-wise, it is the biggest fantasy sport in the world. It's not even close. Mm-hmm. And we can talk about all of the 10 million people who play FPL, and they're like, look at all these. And it's like, for the amount of money, and like, money matters here more than users. And frankly, mm-hmm. It could be more users. That it surely is more people play fantasy NFL than. Now I have to look at it.
I'd agree on that, because especially with, when you look at these free-to-play games, the amount of multi-accounting, you know, one user might have 10 accounts. So when you look at, there's 2 million users that play each year. Well, I'm going to put my hand up. I get fucking bored after game week 3.
Yeah.
You know, mid-season, when you've run, I forgot to do my transfers, and I've got, you know, the whole bench is injured and I've got a player suspended. Can't be asked. Yeah. You know, so that fatigue with fantasy games, because it's free to play, there's nothing on the line. Whereas I'm not an American, so you can probably tell me a lot more. I know for a fact there are American fans who obsess over their friend's draft league. Yeah, they have the draft nights. They have all these things. They put money in. There's forfeits. There's all, you know, we don't have that over here. We kind of, you might pull it up in the pub and go, I've captained Haaland today, or whatever. But it just doesn't happen as much. Whereas I think, you know, for you guys across the pond, it goes hand in hand.
Yes. So what did FPL cross 10 million recently? Like, claim 10 million users? I think
no idea.
I think it was, I can't remember if it was last year, maybe, whatever. And FPL is by far the biggest fantasy football game in the world.
100%.
So it's roughly 3 to 5 times more people play fantasy NFL just in the United States. Now, I don't think there are many people playing fantasy NFL outside the United States, so like forget that. But like 30 to 50 million people play fantasy NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Percentage of that is obviously people play for free, but there are also tons of people who play for free, and FPL is like this too. Play for free, but like pay some site to like help them get better at it. But so it is by far the biggest fantasy sport, and it is the biggest fantasy sport that people pay to participate in. And so the NFL upside on Sport.Fun is bigger than any other sport. And will it become mainstream? Like, I'm looking here, ESPN apparently had 14 million users last year. And I think they're the biggest one, but like Yahoo and Sleeper, and they're all the
I think I remember looking before. Yeah, I think Fantasy Premier League has 12 million, and ESPN NFL Draft has like 14. Now you said 14. I think I remember a month or so ago I looked into the figures.
Yeah,
don't quote me on that, but like, I think it's close.
Okay, so but ESPN may be the biggest, but there are others that are almost as big. So it's there's not another fantasy football product that is close to FPL. Like it's not, just doesn't exist. And so with the combination of you don't need so much money to move the NFL market cap to where football is, the fact that there are so many more people who are interested in fantasy NFL and pay to do it, like you don't need all of these people to come in and spend $10,000 each. Like I think you will have lots of people who put in $100, $500, like, and just the opportunity is just so much greater that like NFL has to succeed, and it'll fly. It'll fly.
I wonder, say if on average, the average user were to spend $200 in NFL, I wonder how many users would be required to flip that and for NFL to overtake. Because my mind, obviously, like I say, if somebody was to lay it out on me, I'd probably agree with you, because every time I look at the figures, I do believe, and that's why I say maybe in 3 years' time, 2 years' time, whatever, I do believe that NFL will eventually overtake football. I think that happens. Whether it happens this season, obviously we don't know what's going to happen with the marketing. It's still speculation. My only hope is that the World Cup marketing goes well. There's a lot of onboarding. We get the free-to-play game. People cross over into the pro version. That 12.5 million market cap in football pushes to 20-25 million. And that's where I then think that NFL just this year alone can't quite bridge that gap to overtake it. But I think it happens down the line. But like I say, if somebody was to turn around and say, well, actually, if the average user spent $200, you only need 600 users to overtake it, I'd probably then sit back and go, oh shit, I think you're right. If they were to turn around and say $200, you need 5,000 users, I'd go, yeah, 100%, it's going to take a couple of years. So if somebody was to, listen to this and go do the maths and break it down, I think we can have that conversation. But looking at the kind of blurred facts that we have in terms of ESPN users to, FPL users, obviously, you've got kind of different game modes as well, but it's normally the same user base that play on other platforms. Obviously, you've got like Bundesliga fantasy games and this, that, the other. But yeah, I think it's there to take.
I think the only thing that holds Sport.Fun back in this is generally people who put money into fantasy NFL do so in a way where there's essentially like a jackpot prize where they can turn their $200 into 20 grand, 200 grand, $1 million. And Sport.Fun doesn't offer that. Yep. And I think that's the hardest thing about Sport.Fun, selling Sport.Fun as a fantasy NFL product, that the upside in terms of what you can win is almost directly correlated to how much money you put in. There isn't this, I can like 20x my money, whereas there are other fantasy NFL products that offer that. And it's like, hey, if you have $200, would you like an opportunity to win $1 million or $14 this week, $16 the week? They're different games, but the jackpot element is definitely a big part of fantasy NFL.
Would you say that the jackpot can slightly be achieved through the bonus TP pool through picks, or do you think they're not related whatsoever?
I don't know. It's a good question, actually. Um, I do wonder how picks in that respect works for NFL because the season is so short that like getting to elite. Yeah, I mean, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I didn't consider that. PSU will have to
Mm.
work on that.
Yeah, no, because I mean, I don't think I've actually ever thought about jackpot. Um, but again, it's a very good point. I think I've never played an American fantasy sports game to understand where and how a jackpot would work. So whether it's something that fantasy users even give a shit about, I don't know. Um, in terms of British culture, it's very, very, very popular that people go down to the bookies on a Saturday morning and put 10 quid on an accumulator to try and predict the result of 15 games, 12 games,
Yeah.
and they're going to win, 20 grand, should they get all 12 right or whatever. Um, but so that's that jackpot covered, be like, if you can predict all of these. So I suppose, could Sport.Fun do that in a way in which where there's picks for the game week fixtures, where if you pick the top five players, or sorry, the top five scorers, the perfect lineup, if you pick the perfect lineup and predict all of the match results for that week, you get you know what I mean? I think there's something that could be done.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you have to own all the players with 1.5% or $500 minimum, like picks. You have to then pick the perfect lineup, the perfect captain, and get the result right. Now that is a very, very, very hard thing to do. However, if you had 10, 20, 30, 50,000, 100,000 users playing each week, that very hard thing to do, you've got, again, big net,
Yeah.
the likelihood somebody hits it at least once a season, don't know how likely it is, but it could happen. And in which case then they go and do it, okay, you've only got a port of $1,000, but fuck me, you've just won 20 grand because you've picked it right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's
Okay,
something.
now
Sure.
I'm paying attention.
Yeah. I don't even think people need the easy way to win a lot. Well, obviously you can't have easy ways to win like 20 grand, but just like an easy way to try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm gonna be sat here thinking now about jackpots and bonuses and how to do it. We've been nattering on for quite a while. I will cut it out, but we had a little break for fire alarms pinging off in my apartment block. So yeah, just over an hour and 10 minutes. I want to kind of wrap things up on one kind of final comment and takeaway. Now, you've just mentioned about how difficult it will be for NFL. You obviously had the show yesterday. People not watched it, go back and give it a watch, with PSU fans talking about kind of the picks element and the difficulty to get to elite. Kind of out of 10, or maybe even negative if you believe that it's gone the other way, but out of 10, how much do you think that picks has enhanced the football game on a week-to-week basis? And do you think that will have the same effect and same, you know, boost for NFL when the season starts? I've probably given you 7 different questions there, but I'm sure you can figure it out.
I think it's a 10 in terms like it has vastly changed the
Mhm.
the experience on football in a really positive way. And it absolutely should be part of NFL. And um, the NFL one is tricky because um, you just want to make sure not everybody ends up on the same lineups, which I think is though the salary cap kind of ensures that. But yeah, I think it was a great addition. It's not so overbearing. You can put as much effort into as much effort into it as you want. I do think that the bonus, like we were talking, like people are winning more bonus TP than TP, like regular TP. And it's
crazy.
I think when they talked about it originally, it was like, oh yeah, it's bonus. So if you don't want to do it, like you still win your shares. But then you see somebody like quadrupling the number of the amount of TP they win, and you're just like, oh, I should do this. I should do this. So yeah, I think it works. It's great. It was a great addition.
What would you say to somebody being like, I don't want to have to play picks. I don't want to have to log in and pick 5 players. What would you say to that user?
Don't. Like, I think you're leaving a ton on the table, but like, just, it's okay to not do it. Like we all bought in without picks. Like we were happy to see what we win based on the number of shares we bought. And we know that more active shares means you're going to win less but yeah, like the game is still very entertaining that way, but picks absolutely like enhances the experience and will enhance your rewards if you can get high enough.
Mm-hmm. I think that is the beauty of it. I think as it was broken down, there was 85 or 87% of the TP pool was actually distributed to the users. So just by pick rewards coming out, we've now had like a 2.5, 5% increase onto the base pool, and the bonus TP is completely separate pools. So again, like you said, if you don't play it, it doesn't take anything away.
Right.
Are you leaving something that you could go and get? Yes. But it doesn't take anything away. And I think that's the beauty of it. And I think before I asked that question, my mind was saying, like a 7, because some people might be like, I've got to log in every week. It's happened to me a couple of times where I've forgotten the picks on day one and I've missed a few fixtures. But yeah, I think after listening to that, I'd say it's probably about a 9 in terms of enhancing it. And I'm only giving it a 9 and not a 10 because I'm quite shit at picks. So it enhances my gameplay, but also gives me an extra thing to be pissed off about. So,
there you go.
Big up John McGinn and Ezri Konza. They need to be my heroes for tomorrow. I had Sanchez in goal, and I picked Kinski like 5 minutes before kickoff. And I had Cucurella in defence at one point. I've switched him to Ezri Konza. So I shuffled things and shot myself in the foot, but big up Villa.
So 2 things on that. 1, the game's today, not tomorrow. You said
yes.
Tomorrow. 2, I did the same thing. I had Cucurella. So I did Cucurella and Caicedo, I think, and then switched to Konsa and Palmer. And so I have Emi Martinez and Konsa tonight. Captain Doku was terrible.
Yep.
That's what I was going to say at the beginning. In terms of like what picks does to the experience, one of these like group chats I'm in, somebody decided he was like, he had Haaland in, and he's like, I think Haaland's terrible. I'm going with Watkins. And there was like an early yellow card, and he thought it was Haaland, and he was like, and everyone else had picked Haaland. He was like, see, I told you fuckers, like here. And then he was like, oh shit, the yellow's for someone else. And then, but Haaland actually had like a pretty poor game, and like until 90 plus 4, whenever he scored.
He scored.
But that goal went in, and he was just like, no, like, no. And of course we're all like, let's go. So yeah, the 100 and what I get, 191 combined from Doku and Haaland was not exactly what I was hoping for, but yeah, would love a big Konsa game today.
Yeah, I had Doku captained Semenyo, who got me 62 points, and Kinski. So I'm running on 185 with 3 played. So you're in a better position than me. I went up to Diamond. I missed TP boost. I then missed it again, got relegated to gold. I'm now sat just absolutely getting spanked in gold with this week. So picks is good. 9 out of 10 from me. 10 out of 10 when I get good and get to elite. But yeah, no, thank you everybody for listening. Apologies about the missed episode last week. I went for a job interview, which I got. So over the next couple of weeks, this will be out on Wednesday. We're going to be shifting to a Thursday release. So bear in mind when you're refreshing, looking for the latest episode, it'll be in 24 hours time. But yeah, like I say, thank you everybody for listening. Always appreciate the likes and comments, and we'll see you next week for another episode of the Third Half Podcast.